Opened up underneath the trunk, just above the first stage. And you can see that action happening now as that initial retraction just a couple degrees away from the vehicle. At this point in time, fueling remains underway, propellant load remains underway. All fuels are loaded. That RP1 liquid oxygen load should...
Stage 1, lock flow complete.
There, we just heard that call out that is all done. Second stage LOX load still underway. That will wrap up at about T-minus 2 minutes. Now that first stage liquid oxygen load is complete, we'll see some more of that white gaseous cloud forming around the vehicle due to those lines being
Dragon
closed
is in
off.
terminal count and on internal power.
All right, good call out there indicating that Dragon is running on its own power.
Getting ready to
We are in the terminal count
Space
now
Station.
at T-minus 2 minutes and 29 seconds.
Only got 2 minutes left to launch.
The crew remains comfortable there on the right-hand side of your screen.
4 people in the
About
top.
15 seconds remaining in stage 2 LOX load.
There they are, chilling. I wonder what's going through their minds.
Stage 2, lock flow complete.
Okay.
Dragon is in auto idle.
Gonna be the fastest.
You heard those
they've
calls.
ever
The
moved
Falcon
in their
9
lives.
fully fueled with RP1, rocket fuel,
they
as
had
well
some-
as the
they
liquid
had some,
oxygen.
Some
That call
training.
of Dragon is an auto idle. There's going to be a series
Gas
of
flow has
calls
started. Spec lighting.
as the gas close out, purging the lines of the fuel that have supplied the Falcon 9 with RP1 and liquid oxygen. Also wait for a call of the arming of the flight termination system.
Headed to the International Space
The Dragon flight computers are configured for launch. Flight termination system will allow Falcon 9 to talk to Dragon
Station.
on the ride uphill. Terminate the flight, issuing an
9 is
abort.
start up.
SpaceX Crew
Dragon is
6.
in countdown.
T-minus 1 minute and counting. Dragon is in countdown. Everything's looking good for launch.
Dragon, SpaceX, go for launch.
SpaceX Dragon copies. Go for launch.
T-minus 30 seconds.
T-minus 30 seconds
30
and
seconds.
counting. All teams pulled go.
$15 seconds.
Ready for an on-time launch for the
15
instantaneous
T-minus 10,
run.
9,
Before this launch.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engines full power and liftoff of Crew 6. Go Dragon, go Falcon.
Crew 6, now launching on Endeavour's fourth flight to the International Space Station. Vehicles pitching downrange, 1.7 million pounds of thrust provided by the 9 Merlin 1D engines on the first stage. Hearing good calls, stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
We're now at T plus 34 seconds into the 6th rotational crew mission on board Dragon and Falcon 9.
Power and telemetry nominal.
Stage 1 throttle down.
So there we heard the call out indicating that the first stage engines will begin to throttle down in preparation for max Q, which is the moment of maximum aerodynamic pressure that the vehicle will experience during flight.
Vehicle is supersonic.
That call out there indicating the vehicle's traveling faster than the speed of sound.
Max Q.
Stage 1 throttle on.
All right, now that we're past max Q,
1 Bravo.
Copy, 1 Bravo.
That 1 Bravo indicator are different abort modes that are called that allow the ground teams and the crew to track about the position of the Falcon 9 and the Dragon as they make their way up the eastern seaboard. In the event of an abort, these different abort modes would indicate about the position where Dragon would land,
started.
as well as indicate what series of maneuvers Dragon would indicate. And so far, we're hearing good calls on the performance of the Falcon 9 on its ride uphill. 1 minute 53 seconds into flight.
The less gravitational pull they have. So the faster the rocket.
We're about 30 seconds away from main engine cutoff, which will be followed quickly by stage separation and second engine start, which is the ignition of that MVAC engine on the second stage. Now about 10 seconds away from main engine cutoff. Now about 10 seconds away.
2 Alpha.
Copy, 2
Stage
Alpha.
separation confirmed.
There you can see on your screen confirmation of stage separation, as well as ignition of that second stage engine. Second stage is now carrying the Crew 6 astronauts to orbit. Beautiful view there on the left-hand side of your screen coming from the first stage, which, as you can see, is still gaining in altitude. It has not yet reached its apogee. A beautiful view of the Florida Space Coast there in the background.
Its highest point.
Meanwhile, we're tracking good performance on that MVAC engine. On the screen to your right, we'll be hearing periodic performance calls about once every minute of the status of the trajectory of the second stage and the Crew 6 astronauts that are inside Crew Dragon Endeavour. We'll also be hearing call-outs,
Bermuda.
just like you heard just there, as we pass over the various ground stations along the ascent track.
Dragon, SpaceX, nominal trajectory.
There's that performance call-out.
Dragon acknowledges nominal trajectory.
As for the first stage there on the left-hand side of your screen, that first stage still gaining in altitude, although that gain is slowing down. It will be making its way back down to Earth, landing, attempting a landing on our drone ship. Just read the instructions,
So now I guess it's
which is located
landing now.
off the
I mean, the
Florida
team
coast
goes
by
straight
a
up.
couple hundred miles.
Because now basically parallel to the Earth, I guess. Getting parallel
The
to the
MVAC
Earth,
engine
which
on
is going to the
stage
space
2
station.
burns for 6 minutes.
No need to
After
continue
second
to
stage
go
ignition.
straight up.
Continue to see this engine burn until about 8.5 minutes into today's flight.
8,200.
Dragon,
8,400
SpaceX, nominal
miles.
trajectory.
Is that miles per hour? Well, that's the velocity. So
SpaceX Dragon, nominal trajectory.
they are moving.
Again, these performance calls happen once a minute. Flight teams continuing to track
But they probably can't really
Falcon
tell
9
now because
and its ascent.
they're so far away from the
Everything's
Earth's,
looking good so far. You'll also
gravitational
continue to
pull.
hear those check-ins of the ground stations as we pass them.
At this point in time, we're roughly 2 minutes away from the next major event, which will be the entry burn for the first stage. We will relight 3 engines,
what is
3
that, like,
M1D
entry
engines on
burn?
that first stage to help slow the vehicle down as it
entering into,
re-enters the Earth's
another
atmosphere.
level of-
We're approaching 200 kilometers in altitude. It's about 124 miles.
yeah, I guess. Since
Well,
they're
velocity.
Dragon,
still-
SpaceX, nominal
They're
trajectory.
still
Good
gaining
trajectory
altitude,
calls.
just not.
About to pass 12,000
Not as much.
kilometers per
SpaceX
hour.
Dragon acknowledges nominal trajectory.
It's about 7,500 miles per hour.
Everything looking nominal for both first and second stages. Now coming up to T plus 6.5 minutes into flight.
200 kilometers. And
Mostly what we're hearing
less
now
than
are the
6
performance
minutes.
calls in the second stage. In about a minute is when we'll see a series of events in rapid succession. It's been a pretty good pace since second stage ignition. About less than a minute from now, we'll start to see
Dragon,
more action on the
SpaceX,
first stage.
Nominal trajectory.
Right now, on the SpaceX
SpaceX
Dragon
Dragon,
to the
nominal
International Space
trajectory.
Station. By now, they must be traveling at more
As
than
Gary mentioned, those callouts occurring about once every minute.
75,000 miles per
Now
hour.
we're about 20 seconds away
Velocity is
from
14,000.
the first stage entry burn. That burn will last about 30 seconds and help slow the
Still
vehicle
gaining
down as it
slight altitude.
re-enters back into the Earth's atmosphere.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
And there you can see
Stage 2, FTS has saved.
on your screen that first stage entry burn has begun. That booster sees high drag, which actually scrubs roughly 70% of the velocity by the time that the landing burn begins.
What's up, Tyler Rossiter?
So about another 10
Velocity.
seconds of this entry burn. Again,
Interesting.
3 engines relit, the
strain.
center, and 2
Stage 1
radial
entry burn
engines.
shutdown.
Live launch, hadn't seen one in
And
a while
conclusion of that entry burn.
since I was in college.
Meanwhile, good
Challenge.
performance on the second stage.
But,
Since second
that
stage
didn't end
ignition, we've
well.
been in a 2 alpha abort mode. The next abort modes will happen in rapid succession to Bravo, to Charlie, Delta,
Terminal
and Echo,
guidance.
each indicating different series of maneuvers in the event of an abort scenario. But as you've been hearing through the periodic checks, we're seeing good trajectory, good performance on the Dragon and Falcon 9. Seco, second stage engine cutoff, would be coming at 8 minutes 48 seconds. Coming up on that event,
SpaceX Dragon Shannon.
Stage
Shannon.
1
Copy,
transonic.
Shannon.
now off the coast of Shannon, Ireland. Bye for Seco.
MVAC shutdown.
Waiting for this next
Stage 1 landing burn.
major event.
And there we heard the call out indicating that landing burn.
Dragon, SpaceX. We have a nominal orbit insertion.
Great news there for
SpaceX Dragon copies nominal orbital insertion.
great news
Escape system disarmed.
for Dragon Endeavour,
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
attempting to land on our drone ship. Just read the instructions.
Stage 1 landing is expected signal.
And there you can see on your screen, and also indicated by the cheers behind me,
Signal.
successful landing of this booster. Its first trip to space, and therefore its first landing.
An eruption of applause here at SpaceX Mission Control. And of course, after second stage engine cutoff, you heard that call that the crew is in orbit. They're now in a coast phase. The second stage remains idle for about 3 minutes before Dragon separates from the second stage. Meanwhile, you can see that first stage in the legs right on target. We're now getting views from the second stage. You can see this is one of the cameras that's pointing up into the trunk of Dragon. Of course, we're continuing to get views of the expansion nozzle at the end of the MVAC engine. The crew is in orbit. Falcon 9 has almost done its job. It completed its job with propelling the astronauts through the 6 minutes of the second stage, and of course, the more than 2.5 minutes of the first stage. Continuing in this coast period. We're heading to about the 12-minute mark after launch. So we're approaching 11 minutes right now. But it's great to see the crew in orbit. Of course, we are waiting for that separation. You can see this view right here of the MVAC engine. The second stage really in just an idle position, really just coasting, not many commands being issued from the Falcon 9. But of course, at the very end, we'll actually issue the command for separating the Dragon from the Falcon 9. You'll see a series. You may see a series of burns. The Draco engines on the service section of the Draco will fire and increase separation distance from the second stage.
Once again, live view there from the second stage looking up into the trunk, which of course is the unpressurized section that goes along with the Dragon capsule to the International Space Station. That's where we are able to store basically cargo that is able to be exposed to the vacuum of space. So a great view there looking up into the trunk. That will be hopefully the first views that we get of that separation event, which we're expecting here any second. There you can see on your screen confirmation
Dragon separation confirmed.
of that separation confirmed. Dragon Endeavour is now floating free in space.
That's right, the Falcon
Dragon
9.
CE here. Welcome to orbit. Congratulations. Your flight is exactly 4 years after the flight of the Demo 1 mission. Like Andre said, all the best things take 2 tries. Happy that we could get you off tonight. If you enjoyed your ride, please don't forget to give us 5 stars. Over to LD for some words.
Also, a friendly reminder to put your sushi orders in for CRS 27. Have a safe ride to the space station, and we look forward to seeing you when you get home. Thank you for flying SpaceX.
Expected losses signal, Bermuda.
And SpaceX Dragon copies all. That was fantastic. Thank you.
The Crew 6 astronauts, of course, having a strong bond.
And SpaceX Dragon, we'd like to really, for the great ride to orbit today. It was greatly appreciated. May have taken 2 rides, but 2 times, but it was worth the trip. And I guess I'll pass it over to Woody for some words.
Yeah, SpaceX Dragon, just want to say as a rookie flyer, that was one heck of a ride. Thank you. I would say put it as an absolute miracle of engineering, and I just feel so lucky that I get to fly on this amazing machine. Thanks to SpaceX, thanks to NASA, Commercial Crew Program, and our international partners. A lot of innovation went into this, tireless work out there, and a lot of painstaking attention to detail and focus on testing. And I think that's what makes it all possible to fly humans in space. Thank you.
Some really nice words.
Всем ребят, за подготовку, за то, что помогали в этом деле. Мне и всем ребятам. Я хочу сказать, что сегодня человечество делает еще один шаг в подготовке к новому большому скачку. И для меня огромная честь быть частью такой большой и дружной семьи, и величайшей международной команды, как Международной космической станции, работая вместе на благо всего человечества. Today humanity takes another step for next big leap, and for me a huge honor to be part of such a big and friendly family and the greatest international team of the ISS, working together for all mankind. Thank you.
Well said, everybody. Allow me to say a few words in Arabic first. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله وصلنا الفضاء. بس بغيت أشكر أمي وأبوي وأشكر عائلتي. شكرا للقيادة الرشيدة وشكرا لمركز محمد بن راشد للفضاء اللي يعطوني الثقة هذه. وكذلك أشكر كل من جهزنا ودربنا لهذه اللحظة التاريخية من مختلف وكالات الفضاء في أنحاء العالم. شكرا لكم جزيلا. شكرا SpaceX لإيصالنا للفضاء. I would like to say thank you for everybody. Thanks to my parents, my family. Thanks to our leadership, the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center for their trust. Thank you for everybody who trained us and got us ready for this mission. This is incredible. Launch was incredible, amazing. Thank you so much. And last but not least, thank you, NASA. Thank you, SpaceX, for flying us to space. Go Dragon, go SpaceX. And allow me to introduce our 5th crew member. His name is Suhail, and Suhail is the Arabic name for the star Canopus. And in the Middle East, we anticipate the appearance of Canopus because it marks the end of summer and the beginning of cool time. And Canopus is actually the second brightest star in the night sky. And this is the second flight for Suhail because he flew with astronaut Hassan Mansouri in 2019. And many people think Suhail is an alien, but to me, Earth in a spacesuit, but with high ambitions. Thank you once again, and talk to you from the ISS.
And Dragon SpaceX, we copy all those words. At this time, I can provide you an update that we had nominal dehumidifier activation and service section Draco checkouts. For your awareness, on hard capture hook 5, we did swap to backup motors, so you'll see that the nose cone opening did swap to backup. However, all hooks did indicate that they were traveling and look good on backup. Acquisition signal.
6 Dragon copies, and we see that on the display.
All right. Very dynamic time. Of course, the Falcon 9 delivering the Crew 6 astronauts into orbit after the 9-minute ascent. We heard those great congratulatory words from each and every member of Crew 6, who of course had a strong bond with the teams here in Mission Control and SpaceX. That call you did here to the crew was about the nose cone. The nose cone is deploying now. They were troubleshooting an issue with one of the hooks, but switched to backup motors, and we're seeing that nose cone deploy now. But Crew 6 is now on its way to the International Space Station. It's going to take about 24.5 hours. So they'll go through a series of checks, a series of initial burns, and then eventually have a sleep period before waking up and really getting into the action with a lot of the burns that bring it closer and closer to the International Space Station. It'll be docking to the Zenith port. We're now getting views from the Dragon, and that's the nose cone deploying that you're seeing right now on the end of the Dragon. And Kate, this really sets the crew up for some of the major burns here. That nose cone deploying reveals the 4 forward bulkhead Dracos that do a lot of the heavy lifting, a lot of those significant burns that bring the crew closer to the International Space Station.
That's right. The nose cone is basically the pointy end at the top of Dragon. So now with that being exposed, those forward bulkhead thrusters will be able to do their job as Dragon Endeavour makes its way to the International Space Station. Just prior to losing the ground station coverage, we were able to catch a quick glimpse of the zero-G indicator. I always love seeing that be revealed as it's always different for each crew and it's always special to the crew members. So I love the words that were shared around that. And I personally have a strong connection to this capsule. This was the Demo 2 capsule, the Crew 2 capsule, the Axiom 1 capsule, and now the Crew 6 capsule. And so it always brings a lot of pride and joy to see this particular capsule fly in space safely once again. So with all that being said, let's head back over to Daryl and Raja, who saw all of the liftoff action live. You guys, I bet it was incredible having seen it from the press site myself a couple of times. I know you can feel it. Tell us how it was to see this crew lift off.
Absolutely, Kate, and thank you for the toss back here to the Kennedy Space Center. And on that point, we got to get Raja's reaction first because it was his first launch. He's been on a rocket. He's been to space.
To see the outside.
First time watching a launch.
Yeah, that was awesome, Daryl. It was better than I expected. So I think a much more throaty, rumbling sound once it started to pitch over, and a beautiful night here, so we could see
All right, well, with
second
that
stage light. We
said,
could actually
ladies
see
and
the throttle
gentlemen,
down from
Tyler,
stage 1 to stage B, which
Teresa,
was really cool.
thank you
Saw
guys
the
for hanging
separation,
out.
saw the light go out when the first
Thank you
stage
guys for
separated, saw the
tuning in
second
and leaving
stage light, and we got to
comment
watch it
in the chat.
pretty
I'm
much
getting
all the
ready
way
to
to
get
2
here.
Bravo. It was pretty impressive.
To
so
2
that,
Bravo.
Yeah.
I
Sorry,
love
those
stuff
are
like
those
this.
are different launch
Nice-
escape phases. So yeah, it was
nice launch.
awesome
We
seeing
got,
it from the
a little
ground
bit
and just
less
kind of
than
thinking
24 and
through
a half
what
hours
that
now
ride was like a while
get
ago.
to the
But,
International
I'd rather be on the
Space
inside
Station.
than the outside,
Really liked
but it's pretty
Been here with us.
But it's
and
pretty
wanted to see this
impressive
thing
for
take
both
off.
views. Yeah,
And I got
we're
to
so
see
glad
that,
to
so,
see them. And exciting, exciting
yeah,
that they're
thank
on
you
the way to
guys for
space
hanging out
station.
with
So
me.
happy for them.
And I'll
No doubt.
see you guys on the
Congratulations
next
to
stream.
not only the crew that is getting up into space, but also everyone who helped make it possible. It takes a tremendous number of people in order to pull that off. And that roar, right? Did you feel it in your chest?
Yeah, so on the day of you can hear it, you can feel it there and you can feel it here. You'd actually feel the vibration. They can actually bodily, it's actually vibrating your body,
Visceral,
the
yeah.
ground around you. And I think just the coolness of it, it's almost daytime around the launch pad when it first lit. Just with the humidity, the temperature dew point spread right now, there's a lot of moisture in the air. So just the reflection of the light, you actually couldn't even see the top of the rocket. It was the plume lit up the whole horizon. So basically, as far as you could see, 180 degrees here, it just looked like daylight for the first bout.